Dark Sector is a third-person shooter set in the post-Cold War era. You play as Aiden Tenno, a covert operative who is sent to infiltrate a gulag repurposed to contain a mysterious infection. Your task is to eliminate a loose end and contain the virus, but this inevitably devolved into a prolonged chase for the man who is quote-unquote responsible for the virus spreading across the country. During all of this, Aiden will get infected by the virus, which will gradually grant him varied powers and the ability to throw a glaive. You will also encounter plenty of gunfights, goofy bosses, and most importantly, Warframes. And this really made me wonder why Dark Sector was not set in a futuristic setting like it was supposed to. Hi guys, this is Jay. Dark Sector is made by Digital Extremes, who also made Warframe, of course. And that leads to some of the main questions behind this video. Why Dark Sector was not Warframe? What happened, and is it still an enjoyable standalone experience? To start, I want to say that I'm far from being a Warframe expert, okay? I've played a little here and there, and talked to some friends who've played it a lot, so I know the basics, but nothing too deep. So, with that being said, feel free to educate me in the comments at any point in the video. Believe it or not, Dark Sector was originally pitched as a sci-fi game. And even at that early time, it had a lot more resemblance to Warframe than what you might think. The design and name of the Grenier soldiers is a great example. When Warframe came out in 2013, the Grenier looked pretty much identical to what was presented in the 2005 demo. You can also see some resemblance in the ships and even some game mechanics presented in the original concept. You can get a glimpse of different weapons, powers, ninja moves, and even how the Warframe attached to the orbiter after the mission is completed. It's really amazing to see how much of these ideas they've been able to recycle. Looking at all of this, I was telling myself, okay, Digital Extremes were actually pitching Warframe right then and there. The only difference is that it would have been named Dark Sector, and that it would have been a single player game. So what happened? Why did this project take a drastic turn? Well, all of the reasoning behind this is pretty vague, honestly. So here's what we know. The release of Dark Sector was set to be in a time where most successful games had modern settings. Wanting to cater to the game's demand, the devs made a decision to switch to a more modern setting, and that of course meant that the game would take place on Earth instead of in space. The original demo was also presented before the specs of the Xbox 360 were revealed. This means that the whole concept and vision of the game being in space might have been too much for the console to handle. Another reason that was mentioned is the fact that a modern setting is more relatable for the player, and the main character having special powers and a special look would make him stand out more if he was surrounded by quote-unquote normal decor. It's weird to think about it this way, but I tell myself that maybe this is a good thing, since it made Warframe what it is today. And without all of this moving around, maybe we would have never seen what Digital Extremes really had in store for us. If you have any more insight as to why there was this massive shift in the development, please share it with me in the comments. I would find it really interesting to find out more about this. After all of this, we find ourselves with Aiden, stuck in a gulag. He's got a metal arm, some poor social skills, and can throw some shit at the enemies. So, is any of this any good on its own? Well, frankly, it is, yeah. It's entertaining at least. A classic 2008 game, if you will. The shooting and cover mechanic is probably the best part of the game, as I found the different powers linked to the glaive underwhelming. On the flip side, the abilities that Aiden acquired through the game can be useful. Things like a shield and becoming invisible. The shot and upgrades mechanic linked to the weapons was also entertaining. Even if it was not the most in-depth game feature, I still was looking forward to improving my equipment and finding better mods. So when the game released in 2008, I can imagine that this was something really cool to see. You can also see that there was some effort put in light puzzles, which once again must have been something really nice to see in 2008. but understandably, they feel a bit outdated in 2025. I also appreciated the different slideshows giving information. This makes the environment feel alive, like if a squad of soldiers had a rapid briefing and were gone in a hurry, leaving them no time to turn off the projector. It gives a ominous and disastrous vibe to the scene. The bosses are probably one of the worst things in the game for me. They did not feel good to fight, and they were really punishing for no reason sometimes. Things like one-hit kills that have you restart the whole fight can be a bit frustrating. When I look back at it, the story was straightforward, but when I was in game they found a way to make it confusing and kind of all over the place. But that may be just me. All of this has me wondering, what if Warframe was set in a similar setting as Dark Sector? How would that go? Okay, they've actually done it. I guess I'll check it out. Okay, I see what you did there. Oh well, I guess I'll never know then. Anyhow, Dark Sector for me is a generic third-person shooter that doesn't really do anything special. Maybe if I would have played it in 2008 when it came out, I would have had a different opinion. It was also a huge stepping stone for Warframe, an entry that allowed the team to refine the formula they wanted to create in the first place. Even if Dark Sector is its own thing, one could argue that the Warframe that we have today is the thing that the devs were always interested in achieving. The thing that I enjoyed the most about playing this game is that it allowed me to take another look at Warframe and see it in a way that I wasn't able to before. Even if I haven't synced hundreds of hours into Warframe, I now have more appreciation for it, and I'm glad that it's there and that it has such a devoted community. Maybe I'll even consider giving it another shot at some point. Now that we went through Dark Sector and the weird road it took, I want to know what you think. Let's discuss anything related to Dark Sector or Warframe in the comments. If you have an interesting game that you think I should play, put it in the comments as well, and I'll definitely check it out. Thank you for being with me up to this point. Make sure to take care of yourself. Happy gaming, and I'll see you in the next part of our Odyssey.